Do Sustainability is starting a conversation around recycling. We look at what waste is, and then we can see, okay, how can this waste be repurposed or recycled into something else?
At St. Thomas University, many students are concerned about the impact of their waste on the environment. In Canada, landfills contribute 20% of national methane emissions. Plastics in the environment take hundreds of years to break down. According to Tyler Dupuis, co-chair of STU Sustainability, recycling is important because it transforms our economy from linear to circular.
It would surprise a lot of people if they saw how much per year in reality they consume and how much they throw away. And to be able to repurpose some of that not only is taking away from a market need to continue to exploit the planet. In other words, I don't have bottles, therefore I will go buy bottles, placing a need on the planet, but rather it's creating a circular model of approach.
Although many students understand the importance of recycling, not all students have access to recycling services. Residences and apartment buildings are especially affected. The recycling bins on campus don't accept metal food cans, cardboard, boxboard, or non-refundable plastics. Multi-unit buildings don't often participate in the weekly blue and gray recycling bin pickup, and even if students want to recycle themselves, transportation is a problem.
Oftentimes it is because of transportation and convenience, practicality. We can recycle at home off campus, but again, if you don't have the practicality to get there, where's the incentive to do it, you know? Otherwise than that, it has to be really a good Samaritan move where I'm going to get on the bus with my goods and go to this recycling depot. When in reality, not a lot of people, some people do it, which is really good, but to say that it's a vast majority of people, unfortunately, is not the case.
Students can separate the recyclables into two categories. Blue bins are for metal food cans, plastics numbered 1 to 7, and milk cartons. Gray bins are for newsprint, cardboard, boxboard, and paper. For depot locations and for more info on which recyclables are acceptable, visit frswc.ca/recycling or call the Recycle hotline on the screen. The City of Fredericton contracts recyclable collection companies. After collection, these companies bring the recyclables to Fredericton Region's solid waste. Brad Janes, Manager of Public Relations and Education at FRSW, gave me a tour of the facility. Recyclables are brought here. A truck then brings them to a conveyor belt. The conveyor belt brings the recyclables up to a sorting platform. Workers then sort the materials and drop them onto piles beneath the platform. After they're sorted, recyclables are compacted and baled before they're sold.
All of this that you see here is not going to the landfill. It's going to be sold foreign and domestic markets as close as Lake Utopia and St. George, to the mill there, to goodness knows where.
In 2019, CBC Marketplace went undercover in Malaysia to investigate the recycling industry. They found a lot of Canadian recyclables are sold to companies that break the law to minimize costs. They expose workers to toxic fumes, and recyclables are illegally burned.
We do control, or we know most of the product, where it's going.
Yeah.
And that's in good conscience for us too, that it's not like it's just being, nobody's buying it just to dump it somewhere.
What does Fredericton Region Solid Waste do to make sure it sells its plastic to ethical companies?
Yeah, and that's the beauty of having the same company since 1992. We know exactly who they are, the companies that we deal with. We've had relationships for decades, so we feel pretty confident in what we're doing.
Can you guarantee the Frederictonians that want to?
Can I guarantee it? I know what we do. I don't know what anybody else does, and it's not.
Can you guarantee their efforts to be green and recycled? They're not sort of in vain once the things are sold.
Like we're again consistent markets. St. George, New Brunswick, Quebec, Chicago. Pretty standard operating procedures for those companies. Yeah, like you can sit here and talk about Thailand all you want.
Yeah.
That's not us.
On the Fredericton Region Solid Waste website, a video explains where the recyclables are sold.
The bales are sold and delivered to places like Nova Scotia, Quebec, the United States, and even Asia.
So there are a lot of misconceptions of what we do here, but we do bales and bales and bales and tons of recycled material a year. And it's away from us. Recycling is not a moneymaker at all. It barely breaks even, if at all. But we're doing it for the right reasons. It's not taking up space in the landfill, and it's getting a second life, third life, fourth life, whatever.
Anything that isn't recycled ends up here, in the landfill. Garbage is turned and crushed by these machines. Then it is covered in soil. The landfill, according to Brad Janes, is a source of renewable green energy. Through the landfill gas utilization plant, FRSW harvests methane gas from organic waste that decomposes in the soil. FRSW uses this gas to create power for the MB power grid. Methane is a powerful greenhouse gas, and Janes says it is important to remove it from the atmosphere to help climate change. In a follow-up video, we will further examine the landfill and the landfill gas utilization plant. But the question remains, what should people do when they don't have access to a recycling program?
There is a blurred line, I suppose, on what can be done on campus. Because of the residences, a lot of the work is individual with the residences. But
Should it be?
so now it's a question of jurisdiction.
Frank LeBlanc, CEO of Recycle NB, suggests that the responsibility of recycling should fall on industry producers.
It's critically important for industry to assume that responsibility, because then they can implement environmental considerations at the beginning of the process. So when they're actually sourcing the materials they need to build their products, whatever their product might be. So if they're thinking about the recycling at the end of the day, or if they have to manage their product at the end of its useful life, they will source more environmentally friendly products, or products that are easier to recycle, because it will save them money at the end.
Recycling NB works with industry producers and the provincial government to develop extended producer responsibility programs. These programs shift the responsibility of waste and recycling management to producers and manufacturers.
Well, how it works is the industry that puts the product into the marketplace in New Brunswick is responsible for developing a plan on how they're going to go about collecting their materials. So for an example, the oil and glycol program, they use primarily garages where people go and get their oils changed anyway. And so they look after collecting all the oils and the materials out of those facilities.
Is that kind of the goal, that none of the responsibility is on the individual and all of it is on the industry?
Well, when it comes to a waste program, a lot of it is on the individual. You have to be a participant. It's a voluntary program. There's nothing here that mandates anybody to recycle, but we know that New Brunswickers really want to do the right thing when it comes to recycling. They're looking for additional programs, they're looking for ways to be able to recycle more products.
What we want to do is keep this landfill open as long as we possibly can. A lot of that has to do with diversion. The less garbage that goes in, the more space we have. So this can extend its life.
What message would you give to students who want to stay green but don't have access to these facilities? What do you want students to know the most?
It's not hopeless, and don't give up. When you do that good Samaritan deed and go out of your way, despite the municipal government not supporting you to the fullest extent, you still put a need for these programs. In other words, if they see not a lot of people are recycling, well, what's the point of having this bottle depot open?